Hey everybody, Shandon here. Today we are talking with celebrity booking coach and author of the Linden Technique, my good friend Amy Lyndon. Amy is an accomplished actor, and she's worked with countless actors, helping them book roles in film and television. Hey Amy, thanks for being here today.
Oh, I'm so excited. You know, whenever I see you, I have such a good time.
You're sweet. I love you. You have such a big energy, and you've got an infectious laugh and an infectious energy.
Well, you know, that's what happens when you love people and you've done a lot of therapy.
Yeah. So tell us, how did you get started in the entertainment industry?
I wanted to do this ever since I can remember. And when I graduated school, I came out here. My parents were already here. And so they were like, because I'm originally from New York, but everybody moved out here. And so they said, you're not going to New York, you're coming to LA. And I'm like, okay. And so that was it. And then I did my first movie with Andy Garcia.
Fun.
It was his first movie too.
Oh, wow.
And so like 100 IMDb credits later and somewhat. And so
100
I'm still
IMDb
doing
credits.
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Just to be clear, like, can you explain like how your book is set up a little bit? Because to the uninitiated, it's a very different way of teaching acting, because it's not teaching acting. It's teaching how to book. It's teaching how to get results.
I will tell you that a quarter of my series regulars have no other training in any other technique or anything, any teacher, nothing.
God, I love that.
Yeah, I have a girl, Lauren Taylor. She booked Richie Rich. I was Paris Belk, who's Mighty Med, and now she's on Alexa and Katie. I mean, these girls didn't train in anything else. They just got in there, hit it, went. And there are people, I mean, if you look on my site, they talk forever and ever about they've trained with 1 million people, but all they did was this technique and they started a book. Yeah. Isn't that what it's about? To work as an actor, nothing else really matters. And I wish I had me when I was them. I didn't know anything.
Right.
So basically, it's a 15 guideline technique on how to break down a script and book the part. An actor is a walking, talking, emotional vehicle for the writer. Mm-hmm. And you're basically channeling the writer through you. But most actors, they get in there and they want to make choices because they want to be remembered, but choices are made by the writer. So I'm teaching you how to read better. A lot of people are missing action. One of the guidelines is, what is the action? You understand? It's just you're missing things that dictate the tone and the style of the piece.
And ultimately, an actor is a vessel for all the other parts of the production, a vessel for the director, a vessel for the writer.
Exactly.
And I think so many times people get in their own way, actors get in their own way, because they're like, wait, I'm the star. You know, it's like, well, kind of. You're just like, it's a collaborative art.
When you're a star, you could call yourself a star, but until then, I'm sorry, but you're on the bench, you know?
Interesting.
You're on the bench. A guest star and a co-star, you might as well be in the left field catching balls. You're not going to be up 4th. You're going to be up 10th.
Yeah.
Or maybe as you get better and you get a guest lead, then you're up maybe 6. But you're not batting 4th, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're batting 4th when you get a series regular.
Yeah, and I think just knowing that, and knowing where your place is, can help inform how you're, jumping through the hoops.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, guideline number 14 is, why are you in the script? You might just be moving the story along. That's for all the people that aren't booking co-stars. Just know why you're even there. You know, you're there to move the series regular's story along. But now, if you are a supporting actor in a feature film, then that's amazing. In a feature film, they want everybody to be great.
Yeah.
So, like, let your freak flag fly. Can I say that fast? Freak flag fly. At the audition in for a supporting role.
So what was the transition? Because now you have this amazing business.
Yeah, it's like an empire.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, you're a mogul of Hollywood for sure. You teach. You have a YouTube channel that is amazing, and you're soon to tour with your teaching technique. What made you decide that you wanted to teach as well?
You know what? That sort of happened. That's why you all have to listen to what comes into your life is a gift. Yeah. Like, I mean, in 1,000,000 years, did you ever think you would be sitting on a couch interviewing people?
Huge gift.
Yeah, look
Truly.
at that. You're doing this,
Yeah.
and look how relaxed and wonderful you are, and you're gorgeous. So, I mean, you're perfect for it. But you didn't think years ago that you were going to do this. I mean,
No.
if somebody said to you, you were going to do this, you would be like, yeah, okay, and you're just shooting, celebrities.
I oftentimes say to people, like, a lot of times people move here to be actors, but then they find other parts of the industry that they didn't even know about that they fit like hand to glove in.
That's what I'm saying. So a lot of times you don't know what's in store for you in your life, and not to be depressed if you have a tendency to go in another direction. Fortunately, I could act until I'm dead pretty much, because there's always going to be a role for me, and I could also teach for that long as well. Teaching just came naturally. A friend asked me to coach her kid, and I was, okay, I'll just teach you what I do. Because when I graduated, I couldn't book a job. So it took me several years to create the technique that I've been teaching people for almost 25 years now.
Yeah.
And so this technique is my technique. And so it's tedious, it's annoying, it's obnoxious. But if I don't ask those 15 questions, I'm going to suck in the room.
Yeah.
It's going to be real basic. I am not going to be good in the room. So I do my own technique, and I teach the technique that I do on my own. So I taught this girl, and she booked a very large role in a major feature film for a major studio. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do this.
I've got to say, like, we shoot so many of your clients who have come in and who have worked with you over the years, and I don't think I've ever heard anything bad, from people who have worked. Everybody just raves about you, raves about the technique, raves about how it's so different than, any other acting class that they've ever been a part of. Why do you think that people relate to it so much, and why do you think it's so beneficial to actors?
Well, I think I have a lot of people on retainer, so those are all the people that I'm paying. No, I'm just kidding. Here's $10. Write something on Yelp. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll keep that under the rug.
No, it's a known fact. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I think that I care. Yeah. I believe that I am them. I'm probably the only coach in the nation that actually has IMDb credits. And like a lot of them.
A very good point.
I'm also a multi-award winning director, so I've been on that side of the fence. I've also been a manager for 9 years. I helped put Adam Brody on the OC. He used to study with me when he was 16. I used to negotiate contracts for Disney when you weren't supposed to. I used to do things. And so I think that's what makes me relevant, and I'm also in the rooms with them.
Yeah.
So I understand them. And the kind of people that come to me are the people that are ready. They're ready to work. So I want them to get all their training out of the way. When you get to me, you're done. You're done. It's time to work. It said, like Mama said, go get a job.
Yeah.
So get a job.
Yeah, because it's not about knowing how to act. It's about knowing how to book it.
And people could spin in classes forever. It's time to get out there and get your feet wet.
Yeah.
Nobody in my class are sitting around. I say, I don't want classroom actors around me. I do not like that energy. I don't like the energy of the actors that sit around at coffee houses, talk about crap, about what's not working. My people are out there, they're working, they're going after it, and that's who I want to be with. I'm like a Russian skating coach for actors. I'm like, you do this now,
Without all the anger.
With the anger.
With the anger.
And a little bit, and then I hug them. You go now, hug, out. Something like that. Anyway, so the thing is that I offer them actually a solution.
Yeah.
And I think that I used to leave acting classes actually more messed up because nobody gave me a solution. I'm like a booking doctor. You tell me what the problem is, and I'll give you a guideline to fix it.
Right.
So the other night in class, I teach about 140 people a week. So in class the other night, it's crazy, I know.
So many people.
I know, it's okay.
That's great.
It's okay. So there was a guy the other night in class that he wasn't finishing his sentences. Of course, he was a millennial. So I'm like, finish your sentence! He wasn't completing his sentence. And so the guideline is, what do I want to make you understand? Because in life, we're all selfish people. We only care about whether or not somebody got something. And so we're always saying, right? You know what I mean? Right. And now that we're texting, we put question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Or ellipsis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. Like, you get what I mean. I don't need to finish the sentence. No, I need to like make you know what I mean. You need to. I need to know what you are trying to communicate.
Exactly, and so we're all about that. Everybody's just coming from a selfish point of view.
Yeah.
Again, a point of view. We all have a very strong opinion. If you don't have a strong opinion, you don't have a character. So what is my point of view is another guideline. It's real basic.
I know in your book, The Linden Technique, you have 15 guidelines that kind of take the actors through what they should be thinking when they're in that room auditioning. Can you tell us a little bit more about your technique and how that breaks down?
You know, what the technique does is it protects you in the room. It's almost like I have everybody do this cone of silence from like old episodes of Get Smart. Yeah. You're in this cone of silence, and within that cone of silence is your opening emotion, is exactly the person that you're relating to. And who am I relating to is another guideline. It takes personalization from the antiquated years of the actor's studio to the present time, because you have to almost insulate yourself in the energy of the person that you're talking to. Otherwise, you're going to pick up the energy in the room. And so this is all about how to get rid of nerves and the whole thing about memorizing lines. And none of the guidelines say memorize lines. So what do I get? A bunch of kids coming to me from schools that tell them to memorize lines. And so what happens? They're flat. They're completely flat and memorized, and they get into a pattern of saying something, so they're in their head and they're not in their heart. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend $20 to go to the movies to see somebody that's in their head. I go to the movies to see tortured people, damn it. I pay $20 to see tortured people.
It's true, though. It's absolutely true. It's like you don't want to see robots. You want to see something that's real and visceral.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd rather see somebody that has like no training at all and that can get to the emotions of the scene. I tell everybody, have a great emotional journal. You're a walking, talking emotional vehicle. That's what you are. So know how to push those buttons.
And how to access that within
how
yourself.
How to access that vehicle, access who you are, access where those feelings are.
Yeah.
And get out of the way and let the writer speak through you, let the character speak through you. Feel it. I always ask people, so what are you feeling at the top? It takes them forever because they're so brainwashed with intention and beats and action.
And objectives.
And it's like nobody cares about that. What is the writer telling you to do? Why can't you just do that?
Yeah.
It's like I say, the dog got run over. Your dog got run over. Why do you have to go to your aunt that treated you poorly when you were 3?
It's so true.
What about your dog just got run over?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that make you feel? How would that make you feel?
It would make me feel sad. It would make me feel
Have you ever had a dog?
Yes, I have.
What was his name?
Oh my God, we're doing the Linden Technique.
Okay, you see, guys, right there.
Yeah.
Right there, see? There's it. Now, when you speak, now speak. Oh, now say something to me with that feeling.
I can't.
Okay, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I can make anybody into a great actor. You have to just understand how it is. All it is setting up the emotion and laying the line on top. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And as long as you know your feelings, you're good.
What's really amazing about you as a teacher is you are not traditional in a sense that you don't teach actors how to act or how to have better technique. You're really focused on how to book a role and the end goal of getting the job. I know in your book, The Linden Technique, you have 15 guidelines that kind of take the actors through what they should be thinking when they're in that room auditioning. Can you tell us a little bit more about your technique and how that breaks down?
You got to look at it this way. You ever play dodgeball?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the time.
Were you picked?
Every weekend.
Were you picked?
Yeah, actually
Were you picked? Were you the top?
I was somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I wasn't
so
the dead
who did
last,
they pick first?
The people who were strong and
there you
big.
Go. There you go.
And
there
their friends. And their
there
friends.
It is. Yeah, and their friends.
And their friends.
Yeah, there's the politics.
Yeah.
But who do people want to be in business with? Powerful people. It's high school and junior high all over again, guys. I'm sorry, but it is. They only want to be in business with people who are powerful. It's like dodgeball.
Yeah.
They picked all the powerful people first for their team. So why would you go into an audition and not know what you're doing?
Yeah, why give up your power? You know, if there's one moment that you need to show your power, that's it.
That's it. And your power comes in knowing what you're doing.
And confidence.
Exactly.
And
that
confidence
comes
in knowing what you're doing.
Knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what you're doing, it's like everybody, they walk to their car and they go, what the heck was I doing? Because you didn't know. Well, that's one of the guidelines. What am I doing?
Yeah.
It's real basic. Anyway.
Well, and it sounds like if you just simply go through the guidelines, that's going to give you power and give you confidence because you've done your work.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then they plug in their emotions into the guidelines, and then you study your emotions, not the lines.
Yeah.
And you hit your transitions, not the lines. Yeah. Great acting is great transitions. Because great transitions, what it does is it breeds strong character.
Interesting, because you see what's not on the page then.
You just feel the mood change. Like you're driving in the car and you're listening to a great song, right? And you're happy. And all of a sudden somebody cuts you off and you're like, you son of a, right? Right? That's a transition.
Yeah.
Also known as a mood swing.
Yeah.
Now,
also known as road rage.
Also known as road rage. That's problematic. But you understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why do actors sit there and think about, oh, well, that's just too much. Well, was it too much to scream at the guy that just cut you off?
Yeah.
So my job as your Russian skating coach is make sure that you hit your transitions really strong.
And understand why you're transitioning at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Of course. That makes sense.
Great skaters, the difference between a gold, silver, and a bronze, silver, and a gold. All great skaters, what's the difference? Precision and dexterity and strength and power.
And commitment.
Commitment and focus.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think that, again, what we see in the studio is just people who don't really understand the mountain that they're trying to climb, and taking the steps in figuring out, like, how do I navigate this? And that's what I think is so brilliant about you, in particular as a coach, is it's not about, like, how do you do this one scene? It's like, no, let's look at the race here. Let's look at that finish line, and how do you get to that finish line first? Yeah.
Well, understanding that you're a storyteller. And even when you're shooting pictures, you're a storyteller. What story are you telling? And really understanding where that story is for you on a deep personal level. So I don't care how many places you've trained. I mean, I've trained everywhere, a big deal. Is that going to book you a job? No. But know where these feelings are and understanding what the project is and allowing yourself to morph into character. That's what's going to make a difference. You need to be brilliant, and you need to be at a place where you're at no question. And no question means there's no question I have to have that person. That's why I have unknowns booking major roles.
Right.
That come out of nowhere. You want the room to move towards you and go, where did you come from?
Absolutely.
Years ago, they used to turn over the picture, and go, who represents you? Now they don't even have the picture in the room, so they just look at you and go, where'd you come from?
A lot of times there's not even the room. A lot of times it's these self-tapes. And
yeah.
there needs to be that moment of like, oh, there she is. That's who we're looking for right there.
Stop worrying about what they're looking for. Worry about what the writer wrote. Stop figuring it out. It's not outside of you. It's inside of you. What is your gift to the world? What are you bringing to the room? And that gift is your take on things, your point of view of things, your character's point of view of what's going on in this given moment. What are you bringing?
Traditional acting classes, you might learn about objectives and listening ability and when you talk about what's important in an audition, a lot of times you talk about the actor's point of view. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, the thing is that a lot of acting studios through the years are kind of antiquated. I'm sorry, but I mean, it's controversial that I'm saying that, but the truth of the matter is, I'm proven. I have 46 network series regulars, an Emmy winner, an Imaging winner, and thousands of people working around the world from this one little book that could.
Yeah.
The little engine that could, based on what's going on today. So actors don't even really need to worry about conflict. You know why? because you need to worry about your point of view. You have your point of view, you have the other person's point of view, and guess what? They put it together, it's edited, and there's your conflict.
Right.
So why would you think about the conflict when they're shooting your point of view?
Totally. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about all of the production around you. Just worry about yourself.
Just stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Brilliant.
And so it's the same thing of why what the technique was built. Guideline number 10 is, how do I hear what the other person says from my character's point of view? So therefore, the casting director could be reading flat, fast, not even look at you. But what do actors do? They get upset. They look at the casting director and they get pissed off.
Yeah, and they were taught, in their traditional acting class to absorb that energy and really listen, and then
exchange the energy.
And then let that affect the way you react, and which is great on stage if you're also dealing with another trained actor. But if you're in a casting room with the assistant who just picked up the sides for the first time that morning over coffee, you're not going to have the same.
It's not their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do? We get pissed off at them. We're like, they read like crap with me, they didn't even look at me. So most of your scene is spent getting them to look up from their page. How ridiculous is that?
Totally
That's crazy.
Ridiculous. It's crazy.
So then you go in, you're all excited, you know what you're gonna do, you know what you're gonna say, you know what you're gonna feel, and then you get in there and you spend the time getting them to look at you?
What would you say about just traditional conservatory programs, or getting a college degree in theater or in acting? What's your opinion about that?
Okay, well, let me answer to this. If you're going to go be an engineer, I think you need to spend a lot of time in school. If you're going to be a doctor, you need to spend a lot of time in school. If you're going to be an actor, you should spend a lot of time acting.
So true.
Okay? And unfortunately, that doesn't lend itself when you're in college sitting in a classroom and all of your great years are going. All your teen years needs to be spent building your resume. So by the time you get to the 20s, and 20s is a very big category, by the time you get to your 20s, you have some credits under your belt.
Yeah.
See, I was lucky because I found an amazing manager when I was in my early 30s, I think it was. And she believed in me so much that I booked like a ridiculous amount of TV because of her. But in reality, if you want to make it quickly, you have to start younger. But that doesn't mean to say that you can't make it when you're older, because you can.
Of course, of course.
But I'm just saying, to answer to the question about whether or not you should spend time in college, I'd rather you spend time knowing where all your feelings are, and spend time reading scripts, and spend time maybe working on a set, or spend time working in a casting office, work in an agent's office, work in a manager's office. Spend time understanding the business. Spend time watching television, taking notes, watching the greats in film, and why are they so great. That should be your education.
Yeah.
But, I had a history teacher in college. He's like, what actress was buried in Westminster Abbey? Okay? And he failed me because I didn't know. Now, how is that relevant to my life right now? My life right now is helping people succeed. My life right now is creating content. My life right now is working in film and television as an actor. Why does it matter who was buried in Westminster Abbey?
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I still don't know. And that's on purpose. Because who cares?
Yeah, and I feel like I think I'm a big fan of education, and I'm a big fan of college, and I think it can make you a more interesting person, and I think that you can, learn to think analytically, which I think we are seeing a lot of people not thinking analytically in our world these days.
Yeah, but if you want to be an actor...
But as far as being an actor, I agree. I say it all the time.
It just doesn't make sense.
And especially a lot of these conservatory programs, once you get in, they're like, we don't want you to work until you're finished with the program.
I've never heard of that. It's so ridiculous. There's this one teacher, I'm not going to name a name, she doesn't want anybody to work for 2 years. So you're just going to fill the student with information that will keep them in their head, and they're not going to go out and practice it. Look, any great athlete or any amazing people that have made their mark and created legacies on this planet have been practicing.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. You think about the person at the free throw line throwing in baskets, 2 minutes left in the game. The crowd's going crazy. Millions of people are watching. If he doesn't make that basket, the team loses. How much pressure? So what? You're going to come out of a school and walk into a room and not know how to deal with the room?
Yeah,
you got all this talent.
It'd be like instead of training for, to make that free throw, you read about that free throw for 3 years.
Exactly.
And then first time you're on the court, there's a good chance that you're not going to actually make it.
It's not going to go in the basket. Why should it? You haven't been practicing.
Yeah.
That's why I said earlier, a quarter of my series regulars have no other training because I teach them. You learn this technique and you go out and fall on your face. Keep falling on your face until you know. I could teach you how to work, but I can't teach you what happens when you leave your house to going through that door and being in front of people that are the decision makers. That takes practice. Setting up your emotion, opening emotion, making sure that you leave the audition and you don't beat yourself up and go, oh God, I suck. That you leave the audition and you go, what was great about it? Yeah. And then talk about what didn't work. And then each time get better and better and better and keep working on which guidelines do I need to work on next to make it work in the room. But people want you coming back, so you keep paying them. I'm like, just go. Not that I don't want people coming back. People have come back to me that have trained with me years ago. They still come back.
Yeah, and it's good to have brush up and to kind of retune the engine.
Exactly.
But I agree. You just need to be out there doing it, and the more you're doing it, the more you're going to book, the more you're going to have the experience, so that you look like a pro, because you will be a pro.
Exactly. And it's crazy because my book, which is a 15 guideline map to booking technique, is only maybe 58 pages, maybe 46, I don't know. The writing's really big. It's the size of a Samuel French play. And why did I do that? So actors will read it a lot.
Yeah.
Why did I make it the size of Samuel French play? So you could put it in your pocket or in your purse.
And it's
why is it short? So you read it.
It's not cerebral because acting isn't cerebral. It should be something that comes from emotion and comes from your feelings, not coming from your head.
Exactly. And you don't need to know about my story. You need to just every guideline is a chapter. Every chapter is a guideline. It's ridiculous.
Let's talk about the different things people can do that they should be doing on a regular basis as an actor.
I think what they need to be doing is practicing and then out there auditioning.
And what do you say to people who say, I can't get that audition?
Yeah, you can. You could put together a comprehensive package and have it match the talent that you think you are. Mm-hmm. Comprehensive package includes a photo that represents you properly, resume that matches the photo, and demo reel that matches, or demo clips that match all of it. And then you're out of development and somebody will take you seriously.
Yeah.
But know the direction that you're going. I mean, if you don't live here, you can call the film commission and find out what's filming in your area.
So one other thing that I want to talk to you before we get going is I want to talk to you about just social media. We're living in such a different world in the last decade with, first of all, technology has just, it's made filmmaking so much more accessible to everyone, to consumers, not just the pros. And things like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, there are all these platforms now where you can showcase your work.
Oh my God, yeah, you could make a feature on your phone.
Yeah, absolutely, and people have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and with really great results.
Yes.
If you know how to be a storyteller, it doesn't matter what the technology is, you just make it work.
Totally, yeah.
So I just kind of want to talk to you and just kind of pick your brain about what you think about actors creating their own content while they're waiting for their rocket.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. I talk to a lot of actors. I help them write scenes, okay? Now, there's a lot of agents that say, oh, I don't want those prefab scenes. Well, if they look prefab, of course you don't want them.
Right.
But what about if it really looked like it was from a show? And so that comes the research again. So let's say you want to play a detective on a salty kind of show. So you shoot it like Southland, which is the camera doesn't stay, this camera moves. The camera's constantly moving, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's like a yellowy kind of hue to it. And it's got like it's a little graininess to it. So shoot it like that.
Yeah. And assemble a group of friends who are just as excited about doing their own parts.
Yeah.
In
And there's a
filming
lot
that.
of companies that you could call, you know, that will shoot that.
Yeah.
Or if you want to get your SAG card, you know, I've helped 5 different students get their SAG card by helping them make a short film. I helped them write it, I cast it, I direct it, hire a crew. Next time I'll hire you guys. Hire a crew to shoot it. They surround themselves with all SAG people. They're the only non-union person. They go to SAG and, you know, file the paperwork, hopefully a month and a half ahead of time. Get your SAG card. You guys, if you want to do it, there's a way.
Absolutely.
And I could always show you.
Don't take no for an answer.
You did never take no
Don't
for
look
an
at the
answer.
roadblocks, figure ways
And
around.
so there's so many things to do. There's so many ways to do things. You could have your own web series. I just started mine a couple months ago.
I know, I love it. Talk about your web series. It's amazing.
You guys
and such a different conceit. I love this.
You know, I'm getting everybody to teach me stuff since I keep teaching people stuff. And since I always love like comedy, I'm a natural comedian from many years ago, you know. I've done a lot of comedy, and so it's fun to do my Lucyisms. And as a matter of fact, I shot a show with my friend Roel Navarro, he's a great actor, and we shot this show where he was my Ricky and I'm the Lucy. And so I get a chance to create my own content. Like in that particular show, it's going to be, it's called, it's at YouTube, go to the Linden Experience. But in that show, I'm in an Uber going somewhere to teach, and we have this great connection, and I fall asleep and I have this dream that he's my Ricky. And we do a black and white sequence, and we do an exact scene from an I Love Lucy show.
Oh, how fun.
And we're gonna do a soundtrack and do it in black and white, and then the end party like asks me out, and I'm like, oh, Ricky. And it was in my dream, right? But you know, the thing about YouTube and stuff, you can make your own content. I am because it feeds my soul.
Exactly. And if you are creatively fulfilled, then all of a sudden, all of your other work is informed by that fulfillment too. And,
yeah, speak to that balance. Speak to the balance.
Absolutely. I feel like and that's another reason why sometimes, going through a traditional conservatory program isn't always the best way, because you're kind of so focused on, this is me as an actor. And this, I feel like a lot of times, if you can inform your life with many different experiences, it just makes you a more interesting person. And that
can only help you work as an actor.
100%.
Yeah.
It can only help you work as a personality. You know what I mean? Like people want to be. We're always looking for that person with that X factor. And a lot of times that X factor is just as simple as like, are you interesting? Yeah, you're interesting. Tell me more. I want to get to know you.
That's so right.
Yeah.
Because the people that we flock to the movies to see and spend money to see, they're not perfect beauties.
Yeah.
They're very interesting people.
What do you see as the differences between film and television auditions? And how should you approach each of those auditions? And what are the differences and what are the similarities?
Well, first off, if you want to get a great agent, then you better start focusing on television.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that want to be on television, they don't even watch television, okay?
Oh, it drives me nuts. In the studio, it's a very simple conversation starter that I use a lot. It's like, hey, what do you watch on TV? I can't tell you how many people, I don't really watch TV. Oh, well, what films do you go? Oh, I'm just mostly YouTube. What are you talking about? I mean, like, that's a great form of entertainment too, don't get me wrong. I know that you have your YouTube channel.
Which
I've
we'll
got
talk
mine.
about later.
But at the same time, you're in this industry to work, and if you don't have a simple, basic knowledge of what's even out there, what companies you can work for, how are you going to prepare your resume and your audition for that? You can't. You're immediately
a lot of
shooting
times
yourself in the foot.
they'll be like, great actor, but not for my show.
Right.
And and it's also for you. They come to shoot pictures, okay? And you're like, well, what are you going for? They're like, I don't know, a drama and a comedy photo. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How many times do you hear that?
It's another thing that just drives me nuts is just not having them just have a basic understanding of how they're seen by casting directors. And so a big part of my job then, I have to divert it from, the actual shoot time. And, instead of getting great images because they came in off the street knowing exactly who they are and what they need to do, I gotta say, just on a side note, the couple of times that I've shot you, I've loved it because I am your vessel at that point. You know who you are and what you're trying to get out of the shoot. If just half of my actors were to come in as prepared as you are, I would be such a happy man. I am a happy man, don't get me wrong. But truly, like there's just so many times where people just don't have the basic foundation of knowing how they're going to be cast. And I oftentimes say, speak with their agent, figure out, what they're submitting you on.
Have them send you some of the breakdowns.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can get an idea, or watch TV, and figure out who's got your job, and it's not a brain surgery, guys. Just look on IMDb Pro or IMDb even and look at the photos of the different shows and what are they wearing. Go by the costume designers. What are they putting those people in on those shows?
Yeah.
What is Patricia Heaton wearing if you want to be a single-space sitcom mom? Anyway.
Yeah, I think I said this to you earlier.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Like I often use the bus shelter ads as an example. It's like, you want to know what your headshot should look like? Well, look at a bus shelter ad. If you see how they're styled and what they look like for the show that you want to be on, that's what you should be trying to mimic because those people have the job you want.
Exactly.
So play by that game, play by their rules.
And you don't have to spend $1 million on clothes. You could go to Marshall's and figure it out.
Absolutely.
But I put together like a board. Everybody's doing this like wish board. What about putting together a board of all the roles that you could play and start cutting out stuff from magazines or printing out pictures from the internet, and put it on that board and then come to you to shoot with an intelligence of this is what I'm going for, this kind of detective. This is what I'm going for, this kind of mom.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And come there with the board.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Anyway, so the difference between television and film acting, in television acting, especially on guest star or co-star, figuring out why you're on the show and what the show is. Like if you look at a sitcom, guys, there's specific typings that they cast on a sitcom. There's the beautiful girl, the beautiful guy, or the gay man who's bald with a mustache.
Yeah, they tend to cast in stereotypes a little bit.
And so just know where you fit with that. And what are you representing? Are you the wacky, weird best friend? Like, what are you? But in feature film, in order to book a feature film, it's very important that you understand that it's depth of character. Can you fill up a big screen? Are you complex enough? Are you a deep enough actor?
You specifically call yourself a booking coach and not an acting teacher. And I would love for you to just explain the difference for our viewers because I really feel like that's something that you've kind of, you've cornered the market on because it's a very specific skill that most people don't have. That's why we see so much of actors who aren't very talented actually booking stuff, and people who are crazy talented, and you're like, why are you not the star of something?
It's so sad. We've lost a lot of, not like they died or anything, but they left the business, but great actors because they just could not understand the concept of how to book a job.
Yeah.
They just didn't get it, because for the same reason why they're not booking is the same reason why they wanted to be an actor, and let me explain that. I know most actors became actors because we're broken, okay? And we feel fixed when we're experiencing our feelings through our characters, and we're getting applause from an audience because we didn't get it at home, and so on and so forth, okay? For that same reason, that brokenness is the reason why you're not booking, because nobody wants to hire a broken person.
Right. Right.
Nobody
So
wants
true.
to even be in a relationship with a broken person.
They might want you to access that, but they don't want to live with that every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So use that brokenness in your work, but not to get a job.
That's great.
So it's
That's brilliant.
It's like a U-Haul backing up, Nobody wants your dirty laundry. They don't want your crap, all your luggage, you know?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when you go in that room, it needs to feel like the U-Haul needs to be like the equipment that's coming out of the U-Haul ready to shoot the audition.
Yeah.
Like ready to put it on network. But actors don't think that way. So again, the same reason why you're not booking a job is the same reason why you became an actor.
So you
understand?
You've written, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
You've written this book, The Linden Technique. What you have 15 guidelines that basically take you through, like, you know, how to, you know, appear as a professional actor without, you know, bringing that baggage into the room.
Well, a lot of the reasons why we don't get a job has nothing to do with our acting, okay? It has everything to do with the approach and the process of even just getting over there. And now that we're in, like, the Snapchat society, everybody's on their phone, so they're easily distracted.
Yep.
So much about booking has to do with focus and discipline. I know for me, a lot of times that I didn't book, I had a big problem with memorizing lines and nerves. And the nerves came from picking up the energy in the room, again, being broken, feeling the whether or not they're judging me. So what the technique does is it takes everybody out of the picture, and so you're like a one-man band, coming in with your environment, coming in with your opening emotion, coming in with your people, and creating a safe space to work in. So you're bringing that into the room, which is very similar to what you would be doing on a close-up.
Yeah.
You know, your point of view, it's very similar. So that's why I think Meisner is great, and all these other places are great to get to the emotionality of the character, but it's not specific to film and television.
So let's talk about the beast that is social media. What are your feelings about that, and where do you feel, you know, how heavily does that weigh into the decision-making process, whether actors are hired for jobs or not? What do you think about that?
Well, unfortunately, people are actually listing on their resumes how many followers they have, and people are asking. Like, my agent just sent me an informational email for me to fill out on how many followers I had on all my platforms. And I think what it is a way for production companies to not spend advertising dollars. And if you already have an outreach to 100,000 followers, that's 100,000 200,000 eyeballs, right, on their product. And so it's kind of in-house advertising for them. So let's be logical about it. If it comes down between you and somebody else that might not be as talented as you, which really sucks, but they have more followers, they're going to get a job. And, you know, even years ago when they were talking about reality television, everybody's like, don't do it, don't do it. Well, all those reality television stars now, they dictate whatever they want to do. They're in TV shows, they're in feature films, and so, you know, you got to get out there. Nobody's going to know that you exist, guys, unless you exist.
Right. And there's good ways to exist, and then there's bad ways to exist too. I mean, what would you say is a good way to promote yourself with social media?
Well, definitely not drinking at a club always. I mean, every once in a while you could show that you're having a really good time, but if all of your postings look like you're drinking, somebody's going to think you're an alcoholic.
And they might be right.
Yeah.
I think, you know, in addition to not showing that you're drinking all the time, there's also some logical, like, oh, maybe this isn't something that I should be sharing with the world. You know, I've had casting directors tell me that, you know, they've seen people lose jobs simply because, you know, they posted about the audition experience, or they posted on who they're auditioning with, and all of a sudden, like, you know, they're violating, you know, NDA agreements, and you know, that's caused. If you're going to be like that with the audition, what are you going to be like once you're on set? You know, there's.
Yeah, you got to be careful about that. You know, you don't want anybody mad at you, because then they won't hire you.
Yeah, sometimes it's not what you post, it's what you don't post. Make sure you, like, give some.
I mean, you could say something like, I just came from, like, the best audition. I feel so good about it. I feel great about my work, or, you know, or, hey, check out my outfit I just played. Like I just put a picture of me, you know, a rock and roll picture for this episode that I did where I'm going to be singing in a rock band. But so it was very 80s, and that was fun. So you could say, hey, I just played this.
Yeah.
And put a picture like that up. or shoot video of an experience that you're having.
I feel like we are living in a beautiful era.
It is
where
a
there's
perfect era.
more diversity.
Yes.
That we're telling more stories about people that were, not told before. And I feel like there's so much opportunity, more opportunity than there's ever been in Hollywood.
Back in the day when I was a manager, stuffing envelopes and having a courier service and faxing pictures, it's amazing how far we've come, Today, a manager, an agent, they click a button and then boom, it ends up there. They don't need like a pigeon. Not like I had to carry a pigeon. It was like, a horse and buggy. It wasn't like that far ago.
They used to have those messenger services where it's like you go, you pick up, you drop off at all the different casting offices.
And actors used to be able to like drop off their picture in a bin.
Yeah.
Like UDK had a bin, and so that was a way for them to get to know you. And this was like before the workshops, even though back in the day I remember there was a place called One-on-One. It was the first casting director workshop that I used to go to, and that was a great place to meet casting directors as well. Now it's a little harder, believe it or not, with all the technology, it's actually harder.
Yeah, to cut through the
to meet anybody.
Yeah, to cut through the noise of it all.
Yeah. You would think people would be more easily accessible, but actually they're not.
Yeah.
It was actually easier back in the day when you dropped off a picture.
So how do you counter that? How do you say this is a better way to cut through the noise?
Well, there's a lot of different marketing strategies that you can have. I think that announcing everything that you're doing is important.
Yeah.
And, even though, like, people are like, oh, don't kill a tree, I do think that postcards are still relevant.
Right.
Like, I have many, many students that'll send a postcard, and then on that particular day, it lands on the desk, and they get called in.
Yeah, because if you're emailing or if you're mailing a casting office that is constantly casting stuff, your headshot might cross their desk at just that right moment.
Yeah, it's a little old-fashioned, but nobody's doing it, so might as well do it. And also, guys, I just have to tell you something. What's very interesting is do the old-fashioned 8x10, okay? Put it in an envelope and write a letter to the producer. And believe it or not, the producer will give it to the casting director.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, oh, here, take this. And the casting director doesn't know who it is. It could be their cousin. It's not like it's not qualified. And it's a good way to get in front of people. But don't write a stupid letter like, oh, I really want to be on your show. Write like an intelligent letter. Like pick an actor that you think you would really match as their sister or their brother and talk about your credits and the kind. Let's say you want to be on The Walking Dead. There's a lot of physicality on that show.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And if you know something about the show, you can inform your letter with what you know, and it
exactly.
makes you look like,
don't say something stupid like, oh, I'd make a great zombie, and I haven't really been practicing.
But that's such an interesting thought to actually take the time to physically mail an 8x10 with a letter, because you're right, it's probably an anomaly to them at this point.
Nobody does it anymore.
And so it's just kind of like, oh, well, what do I do with this? Well, I guess I'll give it to casting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not like
you never know. You got to just try. Yeah. You got to just try.
So, hey, thank you so much for talking with us today. This was such a blast. You're amazing. Why don't you tell everybody where we can find your stuff online?
Okay, I'll do that. You can find me at thelindentechnique.com or Instagram, Amy Lyndon, or Twitter, Amy Lyndon. You know what? That's kind of redundant. But I would really like you to do is go to see my show on YouTube / The Lyndon Experience and get a free week on my business site, theactorstoolbox.net. Get a free week. I got everything on there, guys. If you don't live here, great way to learn. And then you could call the office and find me online at thelindentechnique.com. And that's it. Thanks.